Check, check, 1, 2. Check, mic, check, 1, 2. First of all, I want to apologize to all the Czechoslovakians that I've just offended. Check, check, 1, 2, checking. Hello, friends. Ike here, and today I wanted to talk about the question that's been lingering in the DJ industry for, I want to say, the last 2 decades. This is like the big question. Why do photographers make more than DJs? This question was punctuated really nicely by Nicky Spinelli. He got some information online, and the average price of a DJ is $1,200, and the average price of a photographer is $2,400. And this is across the country, so I guess every market is different. But why do photographers make more than DJs? Photographers have big skill energy. DJs have small skill energy. So let's break it down. Well, here's my theory. My theory is people are willing to pay a premium price for a skilled professional, for skills. And I think the problem started when DJ companies started chasing novelty and started trying to chase novelty and sell novelty, and they took their attention away from their skill set. Let's just talk about what photographers do, and let's talk about what DJs do. So a photographer pulls up to a venue with their little Prius or their little Mini Cooper, right? Got their little baggage, their little luggage that they carry, their little camera and lenses in. So wheel it in and start setting up to go to work. Meanwhile, the DJ, full-size Sprinter van attached to a giant trailer full of all kinds of stuff, right? It's all kinds of novelty. That's the magic word, novelty. So the DJ has a ton of novelty, and a photographer has their camera, and that's about it. Photographers are usually fiercely independent. DJs, not so much. You pull up to the event, you see the photographer, you say, "Hey, my name is Ike. What's your name?" "Joe Schmo." "Hey, Joe Schmo. What's the name of your company?" "Joe Schmo Photography." "What do you do?" "I take pictures." They take pictures. Click, 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 click. This is what I do. I take pictures. I'm a professional picture taker, and I take pictures. I take some really nice pictures. That's what I do. See that bouquet? Click. Let me adjust the ISO a little bit. Let me get a little bokeh behind the bouquet. See that? The bouquet with a bokeh. Wow. Skills. They sell skills. You go up to the DJ with the same question. "Oh, so what's the name of your company?" And they'll answer with Llama Damma Ding Dong Life Event Group. So what exactly do you do? Do you counsel people who've just had traumatic accidents, PTSD? What is a life event group? Then you could ask them even more. You could be like, "All right, so do you play music?" No. Llama Damma Ding Dong doesn't just play music. We entertain. We're interactive. That was the catchphrase back in the 90s. Interactive. Early 2000s. We don't just play music. We're interactive entertainers. Nick had a video back when he started doing videos, an earlier video where he was like, "Don't be a tool bag DJ." And he was describing a tool bag DJ, any DJ that poses with a mixer in his hand or has headphones on when you're posing, you're a tool bag DJ. I think we need to redefine the tool bag DJ. The way I define a tool bag DJ company is any company that doesn't have the word DJ in their company name. So if you have a DJ company and your DJ is Enterprises, Event Group, Productions, Life Events, Entertainment, Multimedia, Music Group, Orchestras, if you have any of those words and you don't have the word DJ in your company name, you're a tool bag DJ. Don't be a tool bag. And the weird thing about it is I'm also guilty of doing that. And I regret it. I should have kept the name DJ in my company. But I kind of just fell for the trend. You know, when I first started DJing, I was DJing for the largest DJ pimping company, probably in the country, one of the largest. It was called Star DJs. Simple, DJs. What do? We DJ. They play music and they're interactive. That's great, whatever. But DJ was in the actual name of the company. And they were huge. We had tons of guys working. And that's basically where I started. It was the biggest DJ pimping agency in the country probably at the time. And then they eventually merged with another DJ company. I think it was DJ International, and they changed the name. It was called like Star Shows International or something. And actually, right after that, they fell apart. It's very hard to grow a DJ business because a DJ business is very labor intensive and time intensive. Two things that are very, very critical. You have to be there at a certain time and you have to have people to cover those parties. So it's very hard to be a big DJ pimping company, which I'll talk about it later. I think the biggest problem is DJs. We don't sell skills. We sell novelty. If you want to erase all the novelty from a DJ company, what are you left with? What do we need to bring to a party? We need to bring great sound and some lights that add energy to a dance floor. I'm not just talking about uplighting. If a light doesn't move or strobe, we shouldn't be bringing those to the gigs. So the photographer walks in with the little camera, with their little suitcase full of lenses, maybe a backup camera. DJ pulls up with their big Sprinter van and big trailer full of crap. Their DJ controllers and subs and trussing and facades and photo booths and cold spark machines and low-lying fog dancing on the clouds, the Nimbus, freaking LED robot suits, CO2 machines. So they're bringing all this crap with them. You got to show up to the gig 3 hours ahead, 4 hours maybe sometimes if you got a big show that includes everything. Busting their ass. You got a crew of like 6 people busting their ass, bringing all the stuff in, setting it up. Photographer comes in with the little suitcase and camera. And usually they walk in and they see you with, setting up. There'll be a huge room with like power sockets everywhere, but they're like, hey, can I leave this here? They got to bring it right next to you, like literally right up your ass. These freaking photographers, like they come in with their little suitcase. Can I leave this here? That's a flex right there. They're like saying, you're my bitch, basically. They're saying not only do you have to do all this other crap that you're doing, but you got to watch my stuff while you're at it, is basically the translation. Could I leave this here? That's the photographer. I'm the photographer. I run the show. You don't run the show. Photographers have big skill energy and they know it. Let me tell you a story about like back in the day when the Galaxian laser dot lights came out. They were actually considered hot when they first came out. The little Galaxian lights where they got the little dots, the little annoying lights that are basically bad Christmas lights right now. When they first came out, they were actually pretty hot. Actually, I bought a whole bunch of Galaxian clones off of Chinavision, and I was selling them on the side to other DJs because they were a hot light, and everybody said, hey, they're pretty cool. Got a bunch of little lights, little dots dancing around, and I sold like 24 of them. I bought them from Chinavision for cheap, and I flipped them to like DJ friends of mine. As soon as photographers realized that, hey, it's messing up my mojo with the pictures, they're like, we don't want you to bring it no more. And the DJs had to comply because they said, I'm the photographer. I run the show. I got big skill energy. You don't. I worked for a lot of DJ pimp agencies, basically. The DJs just started chasing novelty. It started out with the facade. I really dragged my feet getting a facade. I was like, what do we need a facade for? The DJ pimp agency that I worked for, like, kind of just demanded that I get a facade because that's their brand, So they're like, you got to get a facade to work for us. And then they kind of just like twisted my arm and made me get a facade because I was against the whole thing. You're basically covering your skills. So like, it's kind of like, if we're musicians, or if we're performers, if we have skills, why would you cover it with a facade? That was the first mistake. And I really dragged my feet getting the facade. I didn't want to get one. I eventually got, the old carpeted black facade that everybody had, the first facades that came out. And I never got another facade after that. I still use that old facade. If you're a musician, if you have skills, why do you want to cover your skills with a facade? What do you need a facade for? The DJ industry just got really stupid like that. So I got the facade. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm going to go to a Van Halen concert and they're going to put a facade in front of Eddie Van Halen so you can't see him playing the guitar, right? It's like cover up the drummer while you're at it too. The freaking put bags over the heads of all the freaking singers. It doesn't make sense. You know, if you're a skilled professional, there's no reason for a facade. DJs had this whole show me a picture of your setup. And I was like, it was a really stupidest thing. Everybody would have facades and they'd be judging people's setups and they'd be like, oh, what do you think of my setup? And they'd come up with stupid phrases like cable management. I was like, cable management. No, they're like, wow, that's an okay setup, but your cables, they're just hanging from your speaker. And then you should like really wrap them around so like it looks neat. Really bad cable management. Your setup is terrible because they could see your cables. They shouldn't be able to see your cables. You're a tool bag DJ. If you have scrims on your speaker stands, you're a tool bag, basically. Tool bag DJs, basically. So they're nitpicking about like cable management and what color cables you use and scrims on everything, and it got really stupid. So it was like all about, oh, look, we gotta raise the bar and get some cable management, make everything look nice and neat, and cover yourself up with a facade so people can't see you working. You know, if you think about it, what's in the DJ's wheelhouse? What does the DJ need to perform? You need a fantastic sound system and you need lights. But the kind of lights that we need are lights that move or strobe. Any other lights are not in our wheelhouse. It's not what we should bring to a party, aka uplighting. DJs have always been looking for lighter and louder sound systems, and all the equipment managers were actually coming through. You know, you could get a system now, 12-inch tops, 12-inch subs, that sounds fantastic, that could kick ass in a big wedding, and only weigh total 160 pounds, maybe 40 pounds each. Easy to manage, easy to load in, easy to load out. But no, DJs could not just settle. We got to fill up our huge Sprinter van and trailers with shit because, you know, we just have to. That's basically what it's like. So then the photo booth revolution came in. DJs just started doing the photo booth thing. And the weird thing about it is photo is actually in the wheelhouse of the photographers. But did the photographers embrace it? Photographers like, I ain't carry that thing around. I just take pictures. Click, click. That's basically what the photographers said. But the DJs were like, oh, no, that's a great idea. Let's bring, just like on the boardwalk. You know how everybody has fun in the photo booth and the boardwalk? Let's get the photo booth. Let's bring photo booths to every freaking wedding. We'll sell it to all the brides. I mean, they sold. They did really well. But the irony of it, the photo booth actually is a 180-degree conflict of interest to what the DJ is trying to do. Like back in the day, if you were DJing a party and in the middle of the party, the photographer pulled out like 20 guests. Oh, let's go outside and take pictures outside. And pulled out 20 guests out of the room. I would get pissed off. The DJ would get pissed off because you'd be like, hey, that's not professional. Why are you pulling people out of the party? It's making my job more difficult. So when a photographer pulled 20 people outside to take pictures outside, it would piss me off. And most DJs would really get pissed off at that. But DJs had no problem bringing this photo booth, sticking it in a corner somewhere. Maybe sometimes, and sometimes it was outside of the room. Sometimes you put it in another room. This photo booth basically would take about 20 people, 10 people out of the room to go play with the photo booth. And so the focus of energy was getting diluted. You were diluting the energy in the room because 20 people are at the photo booth now taking pictures and your dance floor is looking like crap because there's not enough people to fill it. Especially nowadays with the COVID parties that we did last year where you don't have a lot of people and you had these gigantic rooms and like 30 people trying to fill a dance floor. It made our jobs a lot more difficult. The photo booth did nothing for the DJs, but DJs had to go with the novelty. And it's usually the big pimp companies start first with it. And then all the other companies have to follow suit. No customer or guest ever said, wow, I just love the way that photo booth operator operated. He had such skills. I don't think any guest ever said that. It's a novelty and it doesn't take much skill. What was another trend in the last 10 years? Dancing on the clouds, the low-lying fog machines, the dry ice machine. You know what I'm talking about, the Nimbus, basically. That's another big trend that happened in the last couple of decades. Has it been that long? I want to say that maybe at least the last decade, right? So here's the situation. If you really think about it, the dancing on the clouds is basically a glorified photo prop for the photographer. So basically, the DJ gets this expensive Nimbus, has to go to a dry ice company, buy a bucket of dry ice, put it in a cooler the day before, get it all set up, has to plug it in ahead of time. You got to let the damn thing warm up for like an hour. You have to hire another person basically to operate it. So you take the dry ice, you dump it in and you drop it, and the low-lying fog comes out. So this is basically like a lot of work for the DJ to add on. You actually need like another person when you're doing the Nimbus to actually operate the damn thing. No customer has ever said, wow, I just love the skills of that dry ice machine operator, the way he skillfully dropped the lever into the water. And it just, wow. Did you see the skills? The skills were so amazing. I never heard a guest say that, ever. And who gets the credit for it? Beautiful clouds, bride and groom dancing their first dance. Joe Schmo Photography takes that picture. People see the picture. They're like, wow, what a beautiful picture. Who took that? Joe Schmo? We got to get Joe Schmo for our freaking wedding. Look at that. It's like they're dancing in heaven. It's so beautiful. Who gets the credit for it? The photographer. Same thing with the cold spark machines. You got these cold spark machines. They're not even covered under DJ insurance. They're so out of our wheelhouse. Freaking pyrotechnics. You actually need separate insurance to operate these freaking things. And then when they first came out, they're like $20-something thousand. And all the big pimp agencies were the first ones to adopt it. They can adopt this stuff because they're doing enough volume to get a return on that investment faster than a small company. If a single owner operator DJ was to get a cold spark machine at $20,000, it would take them like 3 years to pay it off, basically. So the DJ brings the cold spark machine and these expensive cold spark machines. You need special insurance for them. Your DJ insurance doesn't cover it. It's considered pyrotechnics. You got a special card. You got to get the expensive powder for it. And they're cheaper now. They've come down in price quite significantly, but when they first came out, they're extremely expensive. So like I said, DJs are chasing the novelty. They say, we have to get this cold spark machine. The big DJ pimp agencies were the first ones to adopt it because they got the volume and they got the money to work with to actually buy these things. And then all the other smaller companies had to follow suit because, hey, we can't not have this service available for our customers. Same situation. Bring the case in, set them up, get the powder all situated, and got your controller all ready to go. Bam! Big entrance. Bride and groom come in. Wow, this beautiful fountain of pyrotechnics, beautiful cold spark machine, looking amazing. Joe Schmo Photography. Click, click. It's just another glorified prop for the photographer. Because at the end of the day, he's going to get that shot, the beautiful shot, the bride and groom dancing in heaven, cold sparks going, doing a dip. They get that picture. People look at the picture and say, wow, that's a beautiful picture. Who took the picture? Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo Photography. We got to get them at our wedding. These guys have skills. Who made all that happen? The freaking DJ company. And nobody has ever said, wow, the way that guy, the cold spark machine guy, the way he hit that button, the one when he hit that button, he was amazing. It was just so elegant. Poetry in motion. It was so skillful the way he just hit that button, made those sparks come out. No guest or no customer has ever said that. So the moral of the story, we need to stop chasing novelty. Photographers don't chase novelty. They just sit behind their skill set and they say, I'm a skilled professional. I have the tools I need to do my job. And when you have these DJ companies selling add-ons, they call them add-ons, but it becomes more of the product than the actual DJ. So the multi-ops love novelty. And the reason why I think the multi-ops really, these big pimp agencies is what I call them, the multi-ops. The reason why they like all this novelty is because every piece of novelty becomes a barrier for entry into the business. Even uplights. Uplights, DJs adopted it. Oh, you're having your wedding in an ugly looking VFW? No problem. I have these uplights that's going to make the room look really nice and it's going to look fancy schmancy. Uplighting should not be in the DJ's wheelhouse. That's in the venue's wheelhouse. That's architectural lighting, basically. I don't know anyone that's ever said, oh, wow, the way the DJ put those uplights around the room, such skill. No customer has ever said that. When equipment manufacturers are trying to make things easy for us, lighter, easier to operate, DJ companies just seem to just keep chasing novelty and just expanding. It's a circus now, basically. A wedding has become a circus. CO2 cannons. Yeah, are they cheesy? Yeah, they are really cheesy. What are you going to do, blow somebody's freaking wig off their head? A freaking wedding? That'd be great. You know, that's novelty. That's not in the DJ's wheelhouse. The dancing LED robots, novelty. The reason why photographers on average get $2,400 and DJs on average get $1,200 is because people are willing to pay for skills. And DJs are not selling their skills. It takes a lot of skill to be a good DJ. Mix music. We need to sell skills. We need to put the letters DJ in our company name. Just like photographers, they put photography in their company name. It would be refreshing. I think DJs need to be fiercely independent, just like photographers. We got to get rid of the multi-ops. They're the ones who are following this novelty. They're the ones that are screaming about raise your price. You go to all these DJ expos and online and everybody's talking about raise your prices, raise your prices. That's been around since DJing existed. Back when DJs were on DJ chat. Everybody remember DJ chat? People are always like, raise your prices, know your worth, know your value. And it's weird that like the people that are always preaching this are the multi-ops, because the multi-ops cannot compete on price because they have a huge operation. They got people in their offices. They have to pay them salaries. They've got big rent to pay. They got a big location. They can't compete on price. So I think the independent guys need to actually drop your prices. If you're working from your house, you don't have any overhead, you can drop your price. That's how you're going to compete with these big multi-ops. And I would really like that whole DJ pimp agency to whore relationship, DJ whore, DJ pimp relationship to be eliminated. If you work for a DJ pimp agency, you cannot come on anywhere and say, raise your price, know your worth. Because at the end of the day, if you're working for a pimp, you're getting maybe 50% if you're lucky. If you have 5 years experience, you have your own sound, your own vehicle, your own lighting, your own equipment, you need to break away from your pimps. I know it's hard to do. My pimp is good to me. My pimp loves me. But if you think about it, if your pimp is working you full time and you do this for 10 years, you're making your pimp a millionaire just on your toils alone. You know, I'm all for the DJs that do this for the love of DJing. You know, I did it for the love of DJing. I still continue to do it because I love it. But there's a lot of people out there that'll take advantage of that. They'll take advantage of the fact that you love what you do and you just want to do it every weekend. I understand. And these pimp agencies, they keep you busy every weekend. And you're like, yeah, I'm somebody. Look, you know, I'm just doing all these parties. And when these multi-ops are preaching, oh, raise your prices, it's because they can't compete on price. So they're basically playing on their strength. Shout out to Nick Spinelli. You know, I don't agree with half of what he says, but I like watching his content. Sell your skill set. Don't sell novelty. It's gotten to the point where the add-ons and all the novelty have basically usurped the DJ in importance, especially to these big multi-ops, because people are paying more for the peripherals than the DJ. So when that happens, these companies are actually going to push the peripherals more. And the peripherals don't require a skill set. Basically, that's all I got. Thank you for watching, and I will smell you later.